Bill and Jalen's 33-day recap, the First Birdmester.
Welcome to Bill and Jalen's 33-day recap. If you missed part 1, it's on the YouTube somewhere. Here's part 2. It's the First Birdmester, Jalen. We named this after our hero, the legend, Larry Bird.
Put it this way, if you got a problem with Larry, you got a problem with us.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the best league pass team. Well, this is one of my favorite categories. Here are the qualifications of league pass team. It can't be one of the 3 best teams. So Oklahoma City, Miami, and Indiana, you are ruled ineligible for this. After that, it's just the mindset is, I'm flipping around, I see this team on, and I go, oh, cool, this team's on. And that's the mindset. Number 1, our preseason favorite for this category, the Golden State Warriors.
The Splash Brothers.
They've already had 6 of the best 12 games of the season. New Orleans Pelicans, who knew they'd make this list?
Anthony Davis got hurt.
Yeah.
Him being out,
Exactly,
no doubt. Him being out a significant amount of time is really going to bring them back to the pack.
He was playing so well.
He's a terrific young player.
I was so happy that watching him. I didn't feel like they were using him and the threats they had totally correctly, but they could put out, Jalen, they could put out 5 guys who could score at the end of games.
So there were a lot of guys that you see in the league now, I call them run, jump, dunk, block, shot guys. Okay, that's JaVale McGee, that's DeAndre Jordan, it's Andre Drummond, it was Tyson Chandler. The thing I like about Anthony Davis is he's a smooth offensive player. Like, he got a soft touch.
He does stuff.
Okay, he can pass. He has the skills of a perimeter player, and he still plays big. He still gets 3 blocks a game, still getting you 10 boards, getting you 20 points. He's a game-changing player.
I don't understand why they don't run pick and roll with him every single time.
Might as well.
There's 80 possessions in a game.
And you got 100 point guards on the roster.
You have 3 guys who can create off the dribble and attack the rim. You have Davis, who's one of the best pick and roll guys in the league right now.
Ryan Anderson been on fire from 3.
Anderson, like, if there's 80 possessions, I would run it 60 of the times.
Might
just
as well.
Over and over again. Stop this.
But NBA half-court offense, the majority of the time, there's always exceptions and set plays and doodles you're going to draw up. But normally it's post-ups, it's ISOs,
and pick and
rolls.
That team, I didn't like the Tyreek Evans signing. I didn't like giving away Robin Lopez for nothing.
I didn't like giving away Grievous Vasquez.
I didn't like giving away Grievous Vasquez. But now that the team is out there, it's an interesting team.
Yep.
3rd best league pass team, the Clippers.
Lob City.
Lob City.
The best thing I can say about the Clippers, 1 minute to go in the game, in an NBA game, normally you don't see teams throwing lobs like they're chest passes.
Right, they're fearless.
This is not a fluke.
Right.
Like when Chris Paul comes off that elbow pick and roll or that high pick and roll, he's just looking at the shoulders of the big. As soon as the shoulders of the big square up or his hips square up, he throw it right over the top. Whether it's the first quarter or the 4th quarter, that's dynamic.
Last team is Minnesota. Minnesota, the Kevin Love outlets have been great. They're fun to watch. Offensively, the games are always up there. Defensively,
Ricky Rubio!
And even more importantly, defensively, they're not very good.
Yeah, to be a league pass team, you got to get up and down the floor.
Yeah. I need you to be in some 118 or 116 games.
Yes, indeed.
Our winner is the LA Clippers.
No doubt about it.
Who really have to play small ball to win.
And we get a chance to see a lot of their games in person.
And Chris is great. There's like always weird Blake Chris stuff going on. Doc always feels like he's on the verge of getting unhinged.
And
it's kind of riveting TV.
And I'm going to point out, actually, the 3rd most dynamic thing that they have that you didn't mention. Jamal Crawford's isolation.
Oh, yeah. When he gets hot.
Oh, my goodness.
He's the #1 heat check guy.
No question about it.
What's your heat check rankings?
Jamal Crawford is #1.
I'm trying to think who's #2. Nate Robinson?
He's on that list. They went to the same high school.
Can Jordan Crawford be on the list?
He's definitely on that list. Yes. Detroit.
Celtics!
He had a triple-double this year. Playing good basketball.
Brad Stevens, I know he made consecutive Final Fours with inferior talented teams. The fact that he's turned Jordan Crawford into a half-decent rotation guy is his #1 coaching achievement.
Props to Jared Sullinger. Who
and
saw
Jared
that coming?
Sullinger. Brad Stevens. Came from Indiana, the heart of basketball. All right, next category, or next award. The biggest threat to take Bill's countdown seat.
That's us!
Tomorrow. The This is either because if I get fired or replaced. Oh, number one, Jason Kidd. Tomorrow. So
hit me.
So the thinking behind this award is any of these people get fired, and ESPN goes, oh, Jason Kidd's available? Well, we'll just get rid of Bill. So Jason Kidd, he's on the list. Who's next? Steve Nash.
Wow.
Medical retirement.
He like, I ain't coming back till Kobe come back.
I actually got to say, I'm not even laughing about the Steve Nash. It's very possible. I can go to the show on Friday and just be like, what's Steve Nash doing here? Bill, we got to talk. Kevin Garnett, another one.
His Beats by Dre commercial was a couple of years late.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. And I'm a huge KG fan.
I'm a huge Beats by Dre fan.
And for those that don't know, like, KG, if he was a young player, he'd be me and Bill's Boogie. That's our guy. It pains me to watch him and Paul Pierce in the situation they're in so far with the Nets.
I tweeted about it the other day. There's so many things that upset me about it, and one thing that makes me happy, which is that the Celtics have basically all of their picks for this decade. But it's just a bummer. I hate watching, it's like Barkley always says, Father Time's undefeated. KG lost a step and a half from last season. He was good in the round one against the Knicks, remember?
He was
getting
good.
like 17 rebounds a game.
Yep.
He is now a step and a half slow. And Pierce is 2.5 steps slow.
This is the piece that didn't work.
The coach?
You can't have a first-year coach and say our expectations are championship or bust this year.
Right.
So I'm going all in. I'm going to pay $89 million in luxury tax. I'm going to pay an assistant coach 6 years, $6 million. I'm going all in.
I'm getting rid of all my picks.
I'm getting rid of all of my picks, and we have to win it this year. That dynamic was off from the beginning.
That's your expert opinion? Because what are they, 4-15?
Yes, literally.
And then finally, Mike Woodson. I'm much more worried about Steve Nash, but Mike Woodson has to be in this discussion too to take my seat. We left out Billy King, the Nets GM. They made Lawrence Frank the fall guy for the first month. They got fired. He got reassigned. But if that doesn't work and they keep losing, Billy King is next in the chopping block. And then Jason Kidd is ultimately the last piece.
They play, I think, 9 of their 12 games at home this month of December. The Nets are going to start to get a couple of wins, for whatever it's worth.
I know they've had Darren Williams out. I know Pierce just broke his hand. Lopez missed a couple games. What's been shocking to me about the Nets, how many times they're down by like 25? What has it been, like 8 times? Like, it's one thing to lose. It's another thing, like you see with Utah, too. When you're falling behind by 30, that's like a real thing. You have real problems.
At 36 and 38, Paul and KG should be able to be supplemental players in certain situations. If they're going to be a great team, they need Darren Williams and Lopez to not only lead,
right,
but if they can stay healthy, be consistently productive and play at all-star levels, and Joe Johnson, who's one of the 2 highest paid players in the entire league.
Is he a keep getting them checks guy?
Absolutely.
Okay. Who's our winner? Mike Woods.
Woody!
I would have given that to Steve Nash.
How about this for Woody? The owner of the Knicks has somebody following him around. Literally.
What do you mean?
The owner of the Knicks.
Like following him around, like to his house?
Yes, just following him around. Like when he leaves the game.
Yeah.
And when he leaves the locker room and he goes say hi to his family, there's a mole from the Knicks standing right next to him.
Really?
Yes. That lets you know that that situation is just gone too far.
I heard that the Knicks, they have those overhead cameras at MSG, and they use the cameras to try to figure out which reporters are talking to which employees to see who the moles are.
That's just doing way too much.
Get a life.
Just look at the 15 guys in uniform, the 4 or 5 guys in suits, and fix those guys.
My whole thing is, what would San Antonio do is a good mindset for every NBA franchise to have. Would San Antonio turn on the overhead camera to see which of their employees, I mean,
no.
Come on.
They would turn on the overhead camera and do metrics and see how fast a guy's getting up and down the floor.
Yeah.
How fast a guy's coming off pick and roll and see if he's lost a step.
Right.
And if they think he does, they get rid of him before he gets old.
Our next category is most fixably unfixable problem.
Say that 10 times. That looks like Dwight.
It does kind of look like Dwight. And what we mean by this is This is a problem that apparently is unfixable, but yet we think it seems eminently fixable. First category, or first nominee.
I can't fix, because I can do it in the mix.
Hack-a-Shack.
I think we as the media, and you fans, please help me with this, have to find a way to be more creative than to call when a player gets fouled late in the game that's a poor free throw shooter, Hack-a-Shack. It works for Shaq because it actually rhymes.
Right.
When you say Hack-a-Dwight, it just doesn't sound the same.
What about if we called it foul, shitty free throw shooter?
Basketball is the ultimate game of skill, and the #1 most important skill in basketball physically is to be able to shoot the basketball. And a lot of people have talked about disliking the fact you can foul a poor free throw shooter in the first quarter or the fourth quarter because they think it's a bad thing for the game.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for the game because it actually helps what I consider level the playing field for players who maybe 6'11", and you used to shoot them 2-foot layups and the monster dunks. Now all of a sudden, we're going to foul you. Let's see if you can make a 15-footer. I like that in the game. It makes everybody have to up the ante, step to the line, and make your free throws.
I disagree. I would give, a reader of mine had this idea, and I thought it was a good one. Every time somebody gets fouled off the ball, the team should have a choice. Either you can take the 2 free throws, or you just get the ball back with 14 seconds left in the shot clock. And that's it. You can have one of those 2 choices. So now you're turning the situation to an advantage for the team that gets fouled. Oh, you fouled Ryan Anderson? Oh, we're going to take those free throws. Thank you. Oh, you fouled Omer Ashik? Actually, we're just going to keep the ball, and you can put a foul on your total. I think that's a pretty good idea.
I think making an NBA player shoot. Now, by the way, now let's talk about who's getting fouled.
It's usually big, gawky centers.
Right. So you got. I saw it happen to Andre Drummond. I saw
Dwight
it happen
Howard,
on Amir Ashik,
DeAndre,
and DeAndre Jordan. So we'll use those 4 examples. All of those guys are 6'10" and above. I see nothing wrong with expecting an NBA player to shoot 55, 60% from the free throw line.
It's not entertaining. The goal of the league has to be entertaining, first and foremost. And I don't like watching the Rockets because I don't want to watch Dwight Howard shoot 18 free throws.
They only foul him because he can't make free throws. They're not fouling him to mess up the integrity of the game. And also, they're not asking if a guy shot 60%, Bill, 60%. They wouldn't do it. That's a part of the game, and I like the skill element of making a guy go to the free throw line and have to actually make them.
But there's no skill in intentionally fouling somebody who's not involved in the play. And my whole thing is basketball should resemble pickup as much as humanly possible. And if
you don't shoot free throws and pick up.
I know, but if we're playing pickup and somebody's intentionally fouling me so that to get some sort of weird result, all of us would be like, that's not fun. Why are we doing that?
But that happens a lot in pickup. Here's another example. Say you just scored on a guy or you caught a weak foul before. And now the guy that's guarding you is upset. So he just going to keep fouling you and keep fouling you.
Right, that's true.
That happens all of the time.
And that's when people get shot. All right, what's our next problem? Oh, abolishing the conferences. We talked about that a little bit.
Fair. 1 through 16.
At the very least, I would rather have 2 divisions.
They don't have to abolish the conferences or the divisions. Just have open playoff seeding. You can still say John Doe won the division. Congratulations. Here's your banner. It's still the exact 1 through 16.
Divisions are stupid.
Yeah, right.
How about how about having just 2 conferences? Winner gets the #1 seed. Makes sense. What's the next one? Tanking. We've talked a lot about if they really wanted to fix this, there's ways they could do it. I think one of the ways is to have only 7 seeds in each conference qualify for the playoffs, have a tournament for the 8 seeds, and then it would be impossible for teams to just get rid of their players down the stretch, because that's what's going to happen. Philly's going to be, all of a sudden, Michael Carter-Williams is going to have a hamstring injury that lasts for 2 months.
Or they're going to do a trade with one of their bigs, or Thaddeus Young.
Oh, yeah, Spencer Hawes for a draft pick.
Or they're going to go Hawes.
Self-sabotage.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's how that's going to go down.
I don't have all the answers right now, but it seems like something we could fix. I don't think it's good for anybody to just have teams lose. What's interesting, though, is the fans are more sophisticated about it now. Like, there's no fan base who's like, oh, my team stinks. They're trying to get Jabari Parker. Everybody kind of gets it now.
And
doesn't mean it's right.
When a team is bad, that means the organization has done a poor job of making good decisions consistently, whether it's with the management, whether it's with the coach, whether it's with the ownership. That trickles down to what you see in uniforms. And obviously, to your point, the Western Conference has had better decision makers.
I agree on that, especially like a team like the Lakers and San Antonio, Oklahoma City, teams that have done, for the most part, Houston. The best GMs have been in the West for some reason.
Look what Portland has done to their team. They haven't made no excuses. They lost Brandon Roy, who was an all-star, one of the top players in the league.
And Greg Oden.
And Greg Oden, the #1 pick. They just continue to build their team through the draft. They signed Wesley Matthews from Utah. We were like, why are they paying him? He only played 15 games.
Yeah. It was a great move.
Great move.
You didn't believe in them before the season. Only one person in this room believed in Portland.
You did. That's why I'm giving them love.
You're going to owe me dinner. We bet on that.
Yes,
There's
indeed.
videotape and everything. I think Portland's going to make the playoffs. You think Minnesota's going to make the playoffs?
I think Minnesota's going to make the playoffs. I think Minnesota's a better basketball team on paper.
And we're going to bet a nice lobster dinner.
Tempura.
Lobster tempura dinner on this. Portland versus Minnesota.
Done.
Mr. Rose.
If they both make the playoffs, we go by best record.
Good. I like that wrinkle.
Damian Lillard got that old school shake.
You know the other thing? He's got a little FU to him.
He does. That's what I like about him.
He carries the Oakland with him.
Yes, it is. East Oakland. Yeah, that's right.
I noticed that in the Indiana game, him and Aldridge, both of those guys were like, we're beating you.
Exactly.
Like, they were confident. I liked it. Next fixably unfixable problem.
James Dolan. We talked about the Knicks.
I don't know.
Their issues.
I guess the Knicks fans could just, I don't know, protest like the way they do in foreign countries that are trying to overthrow the dictator. That would be my advice.
And then you'll have
just try to get rid of. Then
you'll have another million people saying, "A game at the Garden? I get to go to MSG."
Yeah, it's true.
It's a novelty.
Yeah.
When they say it's the world's most famous arena, it's because it's become a monument. So anybody will go watch almost any concert, any show, any basketball game in the Garden.
The Clippers were like this too. When you have a lot of money in a city, there's a never-ending reservoir of people willing to spend money to take their kids to the game, or their dates, or their buddies.
That's how the Clippers survived when they weren't trying to win.
For years.
All of the people that couldn't go to Laker games bought season tickets to the Clippers.
And that's why I'm in the 4th row for Loud City. The last thing, overly long officiator.
Thank you for putting this on there.
Yeah. So they have an alternate ref at every game, right?
Yeah.
Here's my advice, NBA. The alternate ref has 24 seconds to watch the replay and make a decision. That's it. Boom. Watch the 2 replays, you're out. There's a decision. This shouldn't take 3 minutes. You're ruining things. Nobody likes this.
And players are so crafty within the rules of the game. What's going to start to happen is players are going to do certain things, step on the line, or allege somebody stepped on the line, point down and say, hey, check it out, check it out, check it out. And then a lot of times the officials in their mind want to get it right. They'll delay the game to do what you just said, and it's not even really brain surgery. We saw the call live 90% of the time as it happened. You got to be able to make that call. So when you're not able to make that call, that means you just missed something real quick.
I would not review clear paths at all, because it seems like those are half of the calls. It's just them debating whether it was a clear path or not. Like, if you can't figure that out in the first 2 seconds, then
right.
So let's move on.
And by the way, you're out there to actually watch the entire court.
Yeah, we get 3 refs.
There's 3 of them out there, so you should be able to see a guy who's got a clear path or not.
When our hero Larry Bird was playing, there was only 2 refs. The game that he got into a fight with Dr. J, and one of the refs got hurt. There was only 1 ref. It got chippy. And that's why they ended up getting the fight. Little known anecdote. Bird and Dr. J got in a fight.
And if you haven't seen that picture of them at each other, that's the picture we got to get in here.
Oh, we had that in Jacoby's office. All right, who won the award? Oh, abolishing conferences. Yeah. I'm just fine with 2 conferences. We don't need divisions anymore.
And people think we're just a silly show. We're a smart show.
Yeah. Just have a whole long list of teams.
And you know what else that'll do? And we talked about tanking. This doesn't affect tanking, but let me tell you what it affects. In March and April, remember we just said how the Heat can have 50 wins and be second? They couldn't do that if the seeding was 1 through 16.
Right.
They have to play it all the way out.
Oh, that's true.
That's why, like, the no seed, the 1 through 16 seeding, because it makes each team play all 82 games.
What do you think about having two conferences, one for the big market teams and then one for the cheap-ass small market teams? And then you're like in the small market, you're humiliated that you're in that conference.
They basically have it anyway, we just never discuss it.
That's true.
You go into the season, it's 4 or 5 teams that know they got a chance to win.
Yeah.
There are another 4 or 5 teams that hope we make the playoffs, and there are teams that know we're going to the lottery.
I agree. All right, that concludes part 2 of Bill and Jalen's 33-day recap, the first Birdmester.
And if you don't like Larry, we don't like you.
Stay tuned for part 3 coming up.